everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany, this is the Brittany Reacts Show. And on this show we talk all things movies and entertainment. We have a lot of really fun, interesting, sort of controversial subjects to talk about today. We're going to talk about the fact that Joker 2 is completely falling off of the cliff, like it's doing terrible. Wicked though, Wicked's doing extremely well. I feel so validated because I've been telling y'all for like the past year that I think Wicked could be a massive hit. And I'm so glad so far I've been proven right. Velma Season 3 was canceled, so we're going to talk about that. But The Wild Robot's getting a sequel. So like I said, lots of fun things to talk about today. Really excited for the show. How are you guys doing? Hi Rob, hi Alexander, hi Edgeman, hi Natanya, hi DeBoy, hi Will, hi Josh, hi Mythical Phoenix Heart, hi Concert Master, hi, I already said that. Hi Aaron, hi Andy, hi Pretty Princess, hi Juno. Thank you to each and every one of you who comes to my show every day. Deeply appreciate it. Love you guys for being here, especially an hour earlier. I appreciate you guys being flexible with my schedule. Really appreciate you guys. Hi Cheetah Viper. I think I said that right. But anyway, let's just get straight into the news because we actually have a lot to go over, particularly with the box office. Like I said, Joker's doing terrible, but Wicked is doing surprisingly well. So let's discuss. So yes, Joker 2. I already told you guys last week when I did my review for Joker, like the movie did terrible. Opened super low on like a massive budget. They gave the sequel like a 4 times higher budget than the first movie, just because the first movie made like $1 billion, so they assumed the second one would also make $1 billion. So they upped the budget, but it's doing way worse than the first one. So now they're potentially going to lose like $150 million. That's the word, that Warner Brothers is going to lose $150 million on this movie. And in its second weekend, it actually got beat by freaking Terrifier 3. Y'all, like the B-horror movie, you know? Like, I don't know if anyone actually watches the Terrifier movies, but it should not have beaten Joker in just its second weekend. That's super embarrassing. Like, oof. I mean, it dropped 90% on its Friday. On like Friday to Friday, it dropped 90%. That's the highest box office drop for a comic book movie ever in its second weekend. That's how big of a flop we're talking about with Joker 2 here. This isn't just like an underperformance. This is for the history books. I mean, overall it dropped about 82, I think the official word just came out as 81%, which is just awful. An 81% drop in its second weekend is just like practically a straight line down. Like, this movie is going to struggle to make like $70 million domestically when the first movie made $1 billion. That's just such a dramatic drop-off. The last time I can think of a dramatic drop-off from the first movie to the second movie like this was with the Alice in Wonderland films. Do you guys remember that? How like the first Alice in Wonderland made $1 billion, but then the second one also really flopped? Oh, also the Maleficent movies. The first Maleficent movie did really well, and the second one flopped. Although I saw the second one, and it was possibly top 10 worst movies I've ever seen. Do not see Maleficent 2. It's genuinely awful. So it kind of deserved to flop. But, yeah, I would put Joker 2 in the category of, like, Maleficent 2 and Alice in Wonderland 2. Like, sequels that just, like, completely underperform compared to the original. Are you guys surprised by how badly it's flopping? Or are you like, no, this movie deserves, I get it. Danny says, Harley was the villain in my eyes. She wasn't even Harley. I know! That's gotta be like my main complaint with the movie. You guys, if you watched my review, you know how I feel about the film. I didn't totally hate it. But like, one of the things that I was disappointed by was the fact that Lady Gaga was barely Harley. Like, what? Oh my god, like, they promoted the movie with Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, and then she's basically not Harley Quinn at all in the movie. So that was disappointing. Really disappointing. Rob says, couldn't have happened to a nicer movie. I know a lot of you guys really hate it, so there you go. Cheetah Viper says, art is popular with his fans. People love the franchise. What do you mean, art? Are you talking about Terrifier 3? I haven't watched those movies. You guys know I don't really watch horror movies, but I do know it does have like a strong cult fan base. Burning Daylighter says, "You're not surprised. Let the flopping continue." You guys are so savage. So completely savage. But yeah, it doesn't stop there, because they've been trying to throw the blame around, trying to figure out who we should blame for Joker 2 flopping this badly. So just to clarify, this apparently was all Joaquin Phoenix's idea. It literally came to him in a dream. So maybe we should blame him, but I actually think most of the blame should go to Todd Phillips, and this is why. So apparently, Todd Phillips reportedly wanted nothing to do with DC during the making of Joker 2. Phillips refused to take any communication from James Gunn and would only liaise. Oh my god, I never say this word. Liaise. They could only work with Warner Brothers heads Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdy about the film. So basically, he refused to listen to anyone's advice. He didn't want anything to do with DC. Clearly, when you see the movie, he didn't even like the fact that people liked the Joker. So basically, I honestly think a lot of the blame falls on Todd Phillips. Not even the executives, because if he wasn't even listening to the executives, then really Todd Phillips takes entirely all of the creative blame for this movie. Clearly, I don't even think like this is the case of like the movie just didn't work out. I think this is exactly the kind of movie that Todd wanted to make, and he made all the wrong creative decisions along the way. That's what I think happened here. So I think it's mostly Todd Phillips' fault. But what do you guys think? Who would you blame for the failure of Joker 2? Because I see a lot of people trying to blame Lady Gaga, and I do not think it's her fault at all. First of all, you can clearly see, based on how much stuff was in the trailer that wasn't in the movie, her role was significantly cut. Like, you can clearly see that. Second of all, a lot of the reviews, even like the worst reviews, say that Lady Gaga is one of the best things in the movie. And I think when you actually look at who did show up for the film, I think it was largely Lady Gaga fans, and not much else. So I don't think this is Lady Gaga's fault, but what do you guys think? Yeah, I know it's liaise, but like it just sounds like a weird word. I can't say it. Vincent says, "Do you think that DC will shut down by Warner Brothers after a lot of DC movies failed at the box office?" I don't think we gotta worry about just DC with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is just so broke that I think they could do, instead of being sold or merged with like another company, like with, you know, what happened with like Fox and Disney, I think what could happen with Warner Brothers is like they just start selling off different IPs. I mean, let's just hope they sell DC as a whole, but I wouldn't put it past, if it's legally possible, I wouldn't put it past David Zaslav to even want to sell DC by character. Like, you know how way back in the day when Marvel was struggling and they had to sell off the rights to Spider-Man and the rights to the Fantastic Four? It wasn't like they were just selling off everything. I could see David Zaslav doing the same thing with DC just to get Warner Brothers some money. And like, maybe he sells Joker to one studio and he sells Wonder Woman to another studio, and maybe another studio gets Batman. Like, I unfortunately can see that happening. I just hope if and when DC gets sold, because I think it's a matter of when, not if, I just hope that it's in one piece and not like by character. That's what I'm afraid of. Okay, Vincent, you blame DC and Warner Brothers. Some Duck here says, "The only musical this year I'm excited for is Wicked." And I think Wicked could be the only musical this year that actually does well, based on pre-sales, as we're about to go over. Because it does sound like Wicked does have the actual energy and excitement and the pre-sales to do well. And I'm thinking the key difference between like a musical like Wicked and a musical like Joker is that Wicked is not afraid to be a musical. Like, there are typical musical isms in it. Like, there's an I Want song, there's an I Hate You song, there's like duets, there's, you know, the characters really sing out their emotions, and their, you know, it's not just like a jukebox thing like Joker was. Plus the music in Wicked is iconic. I mean, I think even if you haven't seen the movie, you probably at least heard Defying Gravity or Popular at some point. So I just think the music's a lot better in Wicked, and I think the musical, at least the movie should, if it's, doing the show justice, the music is just handled a lot better. So I think that's why Wicked is actually going to be a hit, where Joker 2 just is a total flop. I mean, again, Todd Phillips says even Joaquin Pheonix doesn't actually think that, he likes the Joker, really. He says he's always been Arthur Fleck. He's never been this thing that's been put upon him, this idea that Gotham people put on him, that he represents. He's an unwitting icon. I mean, if this is how the main actor thinks of his character, and the director's willing to go along with it, no wonder the movie turned out the way that it did and pissed off all the Joker fans. Joker fans do not want to hear that the Joker is an unwitting icon and he doesn't really like being the Joker. No, people want to see crazy Joker who likes doing crazy Joker things. But apparently that's not how Todd or Joaquin see the character. And you can clearly see that in Joker 2. And I think that maybe one of the reasons the movie just didn't connect with the audience this time is because I feel like this movie was made by people who don't actually like Joker. And this movie was all about, deconstructing and making Joker seem like this awful loser. And, I mean, obviously that's going to make a lot of fans unhappy. So I get the backlash and reaction, given this is how they think of the character. John Burns, thank you for being a member for 6 months. Thank you so much. What happens to Hollywood if Kamala wins the presidency? Will they remain as woke as ever? That's a good question, John. I don't know. I mean, there's an argument to make that, a lot of the issues we've been talking about as far as Hollywood goes started with the 2016 election. So, there's an argument to make that if she loses, things could actually be worse. But depending on your perspective on what's worse. So I don't know, but this isn't the political channel, so I'm not going to get into all of that. But it is interesting. I'm curious to see what happens as well. Anise says, Ariana was good on SNL last night. I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but it does look like she was doing a good job. Drawing Art says, because Ariana is a very popular artist, I mean, they picked a really good choice to play her. I agree. I do think Ariana's not as in her prime as she was just a few years ago, but she's still very popular. I do think she's part of the draw. Especially since Ariana's a known Wicked fan, so I think that helps too. But anyway, moving on to Wicked, since we're talking about that anyway. So, Wicked pre-sales are doing incredible. Super, super incredible. It has so far the second best first day ticket pre-sales of 2024, the best PG-rated first day ticket sales of 2024, and it is now the number 3 best PG-rated first day ticket pre-seller of all time. This, I think, just a few days ago before the tickets went on sale, I think that Hollywood really predicted this movie to fail. I don't think that people were really expecting this movie to do well, which kind of shows you how much, I do think Hollywood needs to expand out of their bubble a bit, because, again, as someone who comes from the theater world, I knew how popular Wicked was. It's, like I said, Wicked was Hamilton before Hamilton took off. So, Wicked spawned, Frozen, for example. Wicked has always been super, super popular, and I always knew that it had a really big fan base. So the fact that this is so surprising to some people in Hollywood just kind of proves that, I think we do need some more executives with some, outside the Hollywood bubble, life experience, because I don't think it should have been this surprising, to be honest. In fact, tickets for Wicked's opening weekend are officially selling faster than Gladiator 2! Faster than Gladiator 2, y'all. And tickets in New York City were hella hard to get. I know, because I live in New York City, and I was trying to get tickets, and I was busy at work all day, so I didn't actually get to the chance to like buy tickets until I got home. And I was shocked to find that like pretty much all the IMAX and like Dolby screens in the city are pretty much sold out for opening weekend, or at least for Friday and Saturday. And I was like, wait a minute, I know it do well, but like this is crazy well, like crazy, crazy well. I haven't seen a movie sell like this in New York since I don't know. I mean, I guess technically Deadpool and Wolverine, but that is like the only other comparison I can think of recently. Like it's selling extremely well here in New York, which I mean makes sense because you know Broadway's here, but like it's selling extremely well. Nate's really excited for it. Ajamin says he really hoped no one starts singing in the theater. Here's what I hope. I hope they have Wicked sing-along theaters because there's definitely going to be fans that want to sing along. So I'm sorry, Ajamin, if you go to the theater and you hear people singing, because I think it's definitely going to happen. But I do hope, because I know not everyone's into that, they have like separate like sing-along screenings, like what they did for The Greatest Showman. They had sing-along screenings. I hope that they do that for Wicked, because I think there's going to be a lot of fans who do want to sing along and know every word like I do. Josh says Wicked and Moana 2 are going to easily beat Gladiator 2. Oh yeah, I fully agree. In fact, you guys remember when Wicked was going to open on the same weekend as Moana, but then Wicked moved up a weekend, so now it's opening with Gladiator instead? I honestly think originally Hollywood thought Gladiator would be the bigger movie than Wicked, and then like Wicked would struggle against Gladiator. But as we're seeing, no, I think Gladiator's going to struggle against Wicked, and then Moana's the next weekend. I actually think in like the Barbenheimer scenario here, where like you have two giant movies and then like another one that's supposed to be big but just gets like completely clobbered by the other two, which was the last year Mission Impossible. I feel like Gladiator could be this year's Mission Impossible, where it just gets completely like stomped out by like two bigger movies. So we'll see, but like it's looking very likely though. Although, which that's kind of sad because I think Gladiator actually looks pretty good. But like I've said previously, sword and sandal movies haven't done well in a long time. It's just a genre like westerns people don't seem to care about anymore. So maybe that's why. But anyway, Wicked-ator. I don't know. Do you guys think like Wicked and Gladiator can actually become a Barbenheimer? The only reason I don't think it can is just because I don't think there's enough interest in Gladiator. Like it's not matching up to like the hype of Wicked. Whereas with Oppenheimer, the hype did match with Barbie. I don't think the same can be said of Gladiator. So I don't know. We'll see though. We'll see. I mean, they're predicting this could open over $100 million, which is crazy. And it can go even higher if the movie and like the word of mouth is really good. That's insane. That's really insane. If this movie opens up over $100 million, it would be one of the highest opening grosses domestically for the year. It would be up there with like, you know, maybe not as high as Inside Out 2, but like one of the few movies to open over $100 million. So it would be up there with that and like Deadpool and all that. Like this would be one of the biggest movies of the year, especially if it has long legs, which I think it probably will, because musicals that are well received usually do have long legs because people want to go to the theater and sing and all that. So I think this movie could like easily be in the top 3 highest grossing movies of the year if overseas people like it as much as like the domestic audience. If not, I still can see it in the top 10 for sure. I don't think this is going to be a flop, which is good news for them, because if you guys remember, this is only a part 1. So there's a whole other second part that thankfully I think we're definitely going to get to see, and it's not going to be super embarrassing for them, because what I was worried about was like, what if part 1 flopped and then like they still have a whole other movie to release? Thankfully it doesn't look like that's going to happen, so embarrassment, you know, averted. But what do you guys think about Wicked? Are you excited for the movie? How much do you think it'll open to? Ethereal Dragon says he forgot Gladiator 2 was a thing. Du Bois says, plus it feels like a lot of studios are trying to do the whole double feature thing. Oh yeah, after Barbenheimer, they've been trying to recreate it, like, pretty much since then. I think this is the first time we've gotten anything that comes close to repeating it, but I still don't think it'll come close. Concert Master says the movie will beat It Ends With Us for sure, and Twisters and maybe Dune. Oh yeah, it's definitely opening higher than Dune, which is crazy. Like, I mean, I predicted it though. If you guys have been watching my channel and watching my live streams for a long time, you know that I've been predicting this movie would be a surprise massive hit, and so far I've been very validated. I'm seeing a lot of you guys are excited, so I'm very happy. It seems like I've got an audience of, like, musical fans, so I'm happy about that. I kind of agree with you, Donovan. I'm not a huge fan of the blonde hair on Ariana either, but it is what it is. Anyway, let's move on. Speaking of Wicked, they did finally recreate the poster, the iconic Playbill poster. People are split on it. It's not exactly like the same as the original. There's no red lips. She's not doing the smirk. It's not covering her eyes or anything like that. So some people are disappointed by it, but I think it's okay. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be an exact recreation. I think it's close enough. I'm just glad that they did it anyway. I was starting to get a little worried that they weren't going to do it, and I was like, that's a huge missed opportunity, but I'm glad that they did it. And I don't mean to, like, terrify y'all, but I saw this on Twitter and I just had to share it. But someone put the poster into, like, this AI video thing. And, yeah, this is, just watch this. Like, is that not the creepiest thing you've ever seen? Like, just AI turning pictures into real life, like... If this gives you an idea of, like, what to expect in the future with AI and, like, what can be done with it and why actors should be very, very afraid that we can just basically do anything with their image now. Because this is terrifying. Like, just awful. I'm sorry, but, like, I had to share this with you because I kept staring at it like I'm mesmerized. Like, do you guys remember just a year ago, like, when AI couldn't even do, like, Will Smith eating spaghetti, and now this is where we're at? Crazy times, man. Just crazy, crazy times. Anyway. Yeah, their faces do get very weird. Like, look at this. You cannot freeze frame this or it gets super strange. But anyway, I just had to share that. Sorry. Again, speaking of Wicked, the Academy is still considering about, like, who they should get to host. And on top of considering Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, they're also considering Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. So I think that would be fun. I'm not sure who I'd want to host more. I think both of these duos could be really interesting. Also, the fact that they're being considered to host shows that Hollywood now has faith in this movie, because they wouldn't have them host if the movie flopped. So I'm very happy that, you know, opinions about Wicked have changed, which is great. Would you guys want either of these people or either of these duos hosting, or who else would you want? Apparently, they're also considering Will Ferrell. So what are your guys' ideas for who should host the Oscars? You guys are still... There's a bit of a delay on my chat, so you guys are still reacting to the AI. Rob says Ryan Reynolds would be fun. I think he would be really fun. I feel like Ryan Reynolds would be sort of like a Ricky Gervais type, where he would make fun of people, but, like, kind of in a savage way. But I think for Ryan, he would at least make it a little bit nicer. Or at least, you know, fake nicer. But I think that would be really interesting. I think hosts are the best, honestly, when they do pick on people in the audience a bit. They hate it. Like, the Academy hates it, the actors hate it. But I think it makes such great television that the audience loves it. Like, Ricky Gervais is still, like, one of the most popular Golden Globes hosts that we've had. And it's because he did not hold back and, like, going after everybody. And we haven't had someone that savage since, and it's because so many of them complained. And I'm like, you guys, it's not about you. We like some entertainment too. So I don't know. I would like Ryan Reynolds just because I think he would not be like overly nice. So that's why I'm interested in him. But what do you guys think? Danny, you want Jimmy Kimmel again? I'm tired of Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel's tired of Jimmy Kimmel. That's why he turned down the job and they're looking for someone else. I would want someone else. Okay, you guys are leaning towards Ryan Reynolds. Okay. Mythical Pheonix Heart wants SpongeBob? Oh, you're saying where is SpongeBob? They're not really promoting SpongeBob and Wicked at all, which I think is probably smart. Alexander does not want Ryan, though. You think he's cringe. Okay. Aaron can't stand Will Ferrell. Hot take. Okay. Ryan and Blake, I can see that. I wouldn't mind that. But it would feel weird that Hugh's not there. I don't think about Jimmy Fallon. I don't think he'd be good in this role. If I had to choose between the two, I'm thinking Ryan and Hugh. But I also wouldn't mind Cynthia and Ariana. Like, I think these are good choices, basically. Speaking of the Academy, they also want the Oscars to have studios and filmmakers to unveil the most exciting things about their work, beloved characters, stories, legacy moments, and upcoming releases. I think that is so smart, and that's what people have been telling them the Oscars need to do for so long. As I was just telling you guys, the Oscars is still a TV show that like has to be entertaining for us, not just for the people in the room. And I feel like sometimes they forget that, and it's like more about them, and it's like, well, no wonder your ratings are going down. But I think one way to make the Oscars more interesting to watch is by like showing more clips of upcoming movies and having, say, what if you had Greta Gerwig come out and talk about the Lion Witch in the Wardrobe that she's working on, and like show a first look at that, you know? Or if we had like, as I'm about to talk about, Christopher Nolan come out and like tease what his next movie might be about. Like, why don't we do that? I feel like that would make the show so much more interesting to watch. So I'm shocked that it took this long to get to this point, but I think it's a very good idea. Who would you want to show up at the Oscars and talk about some of their upcoming work? And do you think this is a good idea? Rob says yes, turn the Oscars into Comic-Con. I unironically believe yes, we should do that. The Oscars should be about celebrating movies and getting people excited for what's to come, which is kind of what Comic-Con is. So yes, make the Oscars a very glitzy, posh version of Comic-Con. That's what I think we should make it, honestly. I think it would make it a much more entertaining show, at least. Tim Burton, okay, that'd be interesting. Yeah, the Lion Dog, exactly. The Game Awards does this. They already mix a bunch of announcements with the awards, and the Game Awards do crazy numbers as far as viewership. So I think this could actually draw a lot of people to the show. Josh says the Oscars should just become like CinemaCon. Yeah, you guys are reading my language. This is exactly what I think they should be doing. Blue Gecko Nerd, what? I feel like Awkwafina and Jacob Tremblay should present the awards. I like Jacob Tremblay a lot, but you guys know how I feel about Awkwafina. No, thank you. Oh, Jordan Peele, that would be a good idea, because he does have a new movie coming up. Yeah, Jordan Peele should be one of the people that, like, gets to announce or give us, like, a first look at his new movie. That'd be a great idea. But anyway, moving on. Like I said, Christopher Nolan is working on his next movie already. The dude does not rest, which I appreciate his work ethic. Apparently the movie's coming out in 2026, so not even that far away. Matt Damon is in talks to star. Universal Pictures will distribute the film, including IMAX, so he's not going back to Warner Brothers. And filming begins in early 2025. Now, I was watching one of Grace Randolph's streams, and she said that she had some, like, insider tea. That apparently Christopher Nolan's next movie is supposedly going to be more of a genre film. She wouldn't tease what the genre was, but that's fascinating. She said it would be like more genre than the superhero stuff he was doing. So I'm kind of here for Christopher Nolan doing something different. I think after doing something so sullen and dark like Oppenheimer, I think it's kind of fun to do something entirely different that's a lot lighter and more whimsical. I'm here for it. I don't know if his audience would be here for it, because I think Christopher Nolan has built up a very particular kind of audience. I don't know if they're going to be into it, especially if it is a musical, which I was wondering if maybe that's what she was hinting. Wouldn't that be crazy if Christopher Nolan did a musical? That'd be insane. But I would be here for it, but like, would his fans be here for it? Because I get the feeling that like Christopher Nolan fans are not into that kind of stuff, but who knows if that's even what it is. But what do you guys think Christopher Nolan's movie could be? What are you still interested in his movies? What do you think? Burning Daylight. Oh yes, she also mentioned it could be something horror related. I don't know. I just like that apparently it's going to be very different for a Christopher Nolan movie, which to me is exciting. Du Bois says, might be a bit of a hot take, but Nolan's kind of hit or miss for me. There's some films that I just find super boring, but when his films are done well, they're done well. I actually agree with you, Du Bois. I don't love every Christopher Nolan movie, but like you said, when he does do well, it's usually like he hits it out of the park. Like, obviously I love The Dark Knight, I love Inception, I love a lot of his movies. But like, I didn't care for Tenet. Unfortunately, because you guys know I love my boy Harry Styles, I didn't love Dunkirk. And like you guys know, I also didn't really love Oppenheimer. So I like some of his movies a lot, I do. In fact, I think his more genre stuff is the type of stuff that I do like, so maybe that's why I'm more excited about this. But yeah, I don't love like everything he does either. I haven't begun death. It could be funny. I don't know. It could be funny. Juno says you don't understand a lot of Nolan's movies. Yeah, a lot of his movies are very pseudo-intellectual, where he just wants you to know how smart he is the whole time. That's another thing that usually annoys me, and I feel like it got really bad in Tenet, which is why I don't like that movie. But yeah. Christopher Nolan apparently never even considered Warner Brothers for his next film, as he still hates them after what he did, or what they did with Tenet back during the pandemic when they put Tenet out on Max, or HBO Max at the time. So he's still very upset about that whole situation, and that's why he went to Universal, and he wouldn't even like consider Warner Brothers apparently. They tried to give him a new 7-figure royalty check, but he was just like, nah, I'm done with Warner Brothers forever. So at least Warner Brothers has Denis Villeneuve now, because he's like their new Christopher Nolan. But like, yeah, that's a huge loss for Warner Brothers for sure, especially when they're struggling in a lot of other areas. They could have needed a new Christopher Nolan movie on their roster. In fact, this is so funny, because he's no longer at Warner Brothers. He no longer has the sway he used to at Warner Brothers. So if you guys have seen Joker 2, you know at the very, very end of that movie, there's like a new Joker that is born, I guess, inspired by Joaquin Phoenix Joker. The guy, okay, spoiler alert for Joker 2, so I'm about to spoil everything, so I hope you don't mind. But like, you know the guy at the very end of the movie that kills Joker, and then like at the very end you see he cuts his own smile like Heath Ledger's Joker. Well, apparently that didn't happen in the first Joker movie, because at the time Christopher Nolan was still part of the company, and he did not let them do that. He said that is only Heath Ledger's thing, you cannot give that to Joaquin Phoenix. Well, he's no longer at Warner Brothers, so they were like, well, we're going to do it to the sequel anyway, we're just going to do it to a different character. So I think that's so funny. That, like, the only reason we got that scene is because Christopher Nolan left Warner Brothers. That's literally it. Just a little bit of, like, random trivia knowledge. I just thought that was interesting, so I shared it with you guys. I'm glad, Burning Daylighter, you agree with me. Tenet was not good. I did not care for that movie at all. Oh Oh, Josh, that's an interesting point. He said he's probably salty at them for putting Barbie against Oppenheimer. He should not be salty about that, although I can see him being salty. He shouldn't be. I genuinely think the whole Barbenheimer thing helped Oppenheimer a lot. Like, I don't know if Oppenheimer would have done as well without the Barbenheimer hype. So he shouldn't be salty. He should be thankful. But anyway, so now we have both a Steven Spielberg movie and a Christopher Nolan movie coming out in the summer of 2026. So big summer for cinema, big summer for movie fans. In fact, it's not just them two. There's a lot of major directors releasing stuff in 2026. We've got Matt Reeves with the next Batman movie, the next Jordan Peele movie, the next Mike Flanagan movie, the next Denis Villeneuve movie, which is probably going to be Dune 3, and then Steven and Christopher. Like, if you're a film fan, 2026 is looking like really, really good. So I'm happy with the lineup. And it doesn't stop there, by the way. Here are more movies coming out in the summer of 2026. So we've got Shrek 5, which you guys know I'm super excited about. We got Supergirl, Toy Story 5, the Moana live action movie, the next Avengers movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu, which we'll see how that does, and then the next Steven and Christopher movie. So, like, we've got a lot of good films coming out in 2026. Very, very excited about that. Just very, very strong lineup from every studio. The only movie here that I'm, like, nervous about could flop is The Mandalorian and Grogu, because Star Wars is such a weak place, and it's basically season 4 of The Mandalorian, and when season 3 was terrible, so I'm not confident about that movie, but I think the rest looks very strong. So I'm still very excited about 2026. What are you guys most looking forward to amongst all of these potential movies coming out? Danny's not looking forward to the Moana live action, that's for sure. Juno says 2026 is going to be that year. Yeah. A lot of you saying it's very stacked. Oh, the Daniels are releasing their next movie in 2026. I didn't know that. Thank you, Josh. Danny, you think Ariana will get an Oscar? I doubt it, but I would love that for her. I really like Ariana. It seems like most of you guys are looking forward to Shrek 5. Yeah, I really think Shrek 5 is going to be... And I've said this. You know what? I'm going to say it more confidently now, because so far I've been very right about Wicked when I was saying I thought Wicked was going to be one of the biggest movies of the year, and I could be right about that. So I'm going to say confidently, I think Shrek 5 will be the highest grossing animated film of all time. I think it will beat Inside Out 2 for that title, and I don't even think it'll be close. I think it could be very close to 2 billion worldwide, maybe even more. That's how well I think Shrek 5 is going to do. Do you guys disagree? What do you think? Margot, I'm actually starting to get a little bit more interested in Toy Story 5, even though I think they should have ended at Toy Story 3. Just because I do like the premise that they're going with, like, how technology is taking over toys. Again, this is a story they could have talked about, like, 10 years ago. The fact that they're just getting to it is crazy. But at least it's a story that I do think is worth telling. So I'm a little bit more interested in Toy Story 5 now because of that. Juno, you're scared about Shrek 5? Why? You're scared that it's going to be bad? Aaron Lopez says all the older millennials will be going and bringing their children with them. Exactly! It'll be cross-generational. I think this is going to be one of those cross-generational movies where you'll have, like, I think even Gen X. Because, like, you know, my mom is Gen X, and she took me to see Shrek when I was a kid. So, like, you have, like, Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z, and possibly even Gen Alpha, because, like, memes, like, Shrek memes are still very popular. So I think you've got multiple generations interested in this movie, so we'll see. Margot, you think 2.5 billion? That's pretty big. And here I thought I was reaching for the moon, but, like, maybe. But we'll see. I know it's a bold prediction, but we shall see. Moving on. Speaking of movies that may or may not come out, Don Cheadle is not sure about the status of Armor Wars. He says you can find out and let me know. I'm not sure where anything is at right now. So this is very interesting to me because do you guys remember Armor Wars? Armor Wars was supposed to be a Disney Plus show, and then they decided that it was too big of a deal to just be a Disney Plus show, so that they were going to turn it into a movie instead. And didn't they announce that like a year ago? But we have not heard like a single thing about this movie since, and it's not like on their schedule at all in the future. I think what's happening behind the scenes at Marvel right now is that they have no idea what they want to do. I really think that they are flying by the seat of their pants, trying to correct everything because Marvel kind of fell off, and now they're trying to like reroute because their original strategy wasn't working. And I think a lot of the stuff that they announced previously, including stuff like Armor Wars, was announced during a time when they still felt like they could do anything and get a hit. And now they very much feel like that's not true anymore. So I wouldn't even be surprised if Armor Wars never even happens. Or if it does, maybe it's not going to happen for like several years. But like realistically, in the timeline of events, of like where we are in Marvel right now, when would we even get this movie? Because next year we have Fantastic Four, supposedly Blade, although I'm not holding my breath about that one either, and then we have like Doomsday. When are we supposed to get, Armor Wars around that? And then like, the X-Men are also supposed to be a big deal at some point. So I'm just confused. It just kind of feels like they announced this before they were ready or before they made a bunch of changes to their planned releases. And I don't even know if we're going to see this. Which kind of bums me out because I was starting to think it could be interesting because it was going to play around with the Iron Man suit a lot. And it would be like an interesting way of getting that Iron Man like vibe back. But I don't know. I don't know. Do you guys think we'll ever actually see Armor Wars? Do you think we'll ever actually see Blade? I hate that it's happening to like two black male characters after we just lost T'Challa. Because I think Blade has the potential to be really huge, but apparently Marvel doesn't see it because they're just sitting on that character. So I don't know. Well, what do you guys think? And Tanya does not want it. Okay. Ethan says, do you think future Marvel projects, Captain America, Brave New World, Avengers, Doomsday, Thunderbolts, etc., will aim for an R rating after the success of Deadpool and Wolverine? That's a great question. I don't think all of those will be R-rated because I think that they'll definitely want to like have some family-friendly stuff as well. But I can see maybe if any of those would be rated R, I think it would be Thunderbolts. Maybe we'll hear that Thunderbolts is rated R at some point, but I can't see the other two just because Captain America and Avengers is supposed to be like family brands. I can't see those being rated R, but maybe Thunderbolts. Not interested in Blade, Mythical Pheonix. You don't want to see vampires? I have a thing for vampires. Vincent says Marvel needs to stop focusing on franchises and making awful Disney Plus shows. Well, I'm liking Agatha right now, and I'll go over Agatha later. I don't think that's awful. Prototype says the new Blade movie wasn't even going to be about him. It was going to be about his daughter. I know! What are they thinking over there? I don't understand it. Marvel's just a big mess right now. Unfortunately. A huge mess. Speaking of Marvel. Now, this is a giant rumor. So just take this with, a giant grain of salt, because I can't confirm this at all. This comes from My Time to Shine, who is a known leaker in the Marvel nerd space, basically. I don't think they're always right, but they sometimes are. And they can be right on the money, actually. So, again, let's just take this with a grain of salt. Who knows? But here's the rumor. So apparently Marvel is considering having Elizabeth Olsen and Robert Downey Jr. share a lot of screen time in both of the upcoming Avengers films. Wanda Maximoff might be Doctor Doom's love interest. Interesting. Interesting. I have a lot of thoughts on this, if this is true. First of all, if this is true, and they are bringing Elizabeth Olsen back, not just in a small role, but like as a co-lead with Robert Downey Jr., that means they must be very happy with Agatha's performance, because they would not, invest in Wanda if Agatha was a flop. So that's good for Agatha. But also, that means they finally realize what they have, and they've been sleeping on this very popular character, and that they're finally going to use her to her full extent, which I'm really happy about. I don't know why it's been taking them so long to get Elizabeth Olsen back as the Scarlet Witch, but at least this would be one way to do it. Also, the only thing though is, like, do I want to see Wanda with Doctor Doom, aka Tony Stark sort of variant? Do I want that? I mean, like, what happened to Vision? Like, is she cheating on Vision? Like, what happened to White Vision? Aren't we getting a whole Vision Quest TV show just about Vision? Like, are we gonna find out at the end of, like, the Vision show that he just finds out that, like, Wanda's been sleeping with Doctor Doom this whole time? Like, I don't know. This gets very messy, like, relationship-wise. And I just don't know. If you guys remember back in Civil War, Tony was actually quite mean to Wanda. He treated Wanda like she was a threat. I mean, she is. But, like, they were not friends. So that would be quite a different turn of events. So I don't know. Would you guys want to see this? What do you think of this rumor? Yes, this did happen in the comics, but, like, I feel like how things have shaped up in the MCU, I just don't see this. I don't know. I'm not sure if this would work. Okay, it could be Doctor Doom mind controlling her, but that would be very weird, especially if they, like, ever kissed or anything. Josh says, Wanda being Doctor Doom's love interest makes no sense, especially since there's White Vision. Exactly! Let's just get Vision back. Where's Paul Bettany? Like, he's not doing anything. Okay, Content Master doesn't like it. Prototype says, my theory is Doctor Doom is an Iron Man variant, and his Scarlet Witch love interest is not the Wanda we know, but just another variant. Oh, I would hate that. I would not want this to be a Wanda variant, because I feel like that's just a cop-out. I want the actual character with the lore and the history that we know. I don't want just some other version of her that doesn't, didn't go through all the things that we've seen her go through. Because then she's not the same character. I really hope that's not the case. Oh, Ashley, you think they're putting too much pressure on the Scarlet Witch character? I don't know. I think she's very popular. I think WandaVision is proving that. Because this many people are even watching that show just because they're hoping that maybe they talk about her. So I think that's interesting. But we'll see. Again, this is just a rumor. But I think it's a pretty crazy rumor, for sure. Speaking of Disney, Chris Pine tells fans to call Disney for him to return to The Princess Diaries 3 because he doesn't know anything. Now, of course, he could be lying. A lot of these actors just like to lie nowadays because apparently they like to surprise people if they're in things or not. So, who knows? He could already have been signed and he's just, Andrew Garfielding us. But if he is telling the truth, why in the world would he not be in Princess Diaries 3? Like, what is the point of doing this movie if you're not going to bring back all of the original cast? I mean, as much as you can. I mean, I don't know if you can get Julie Andrews, but at least get Chris Pine. Like, Chris Pine, I'm sorry, is not Julie Andrews. Like, you gotta get Chris Pine back. He's part of the formula. He's part of the success. Yeah, bring Anne Hathaway back, but also bring back Chris Pine. Does anyone else care? Do you care strongly about this? I really liked Princess Diaries movies a lot. Like, I grew up with them. So, I feel very personal about this. I think Chris Pine is a huge part of the franchise, and he needs to be in the third one. Well, what do you guys think? Burning Daylighter says, these types of movies decades later love fan service, so he most likely will be in it. Exactly! It would be like... just against the fans for him to not be in this. Vincent says, I would like to see Disney remaking their live-action movies in full 2D, like the Princess Diaries. That's an interesting thing. Like, instead of going from animated to live-action, go to live-action to animated. That's actually an interesting idea. I don't think they'd ever do it, but I think it's interesting. Seems like not a lot of you are huge Princess Diaries fans like I am, so let's just move on. So Velma has been canceled after 2 seasons at max. I'm not surprised by this. Like, I feel like when season 1 dropped, everyone was talking about it. It just kind of set the internet on fire because no one could believe what they did to Scooby-Doo. And then season 2 dropped and everyone was like, we already did this, been here, done that. No one even watched it. No one even watched it. Like, just no one talked about season 2. So I'm not surprised they're not coming back with season 3. I think this was the kind of show that was just meant to, like, shock people, you know? Like, I think it was meant to make a statement, maybe rattle a few people, and then leave. Like, I never saw this as a show that had any shelf life whatsoever. I always knew after the 2nd season it probably wasn't going to get a 3rd. So I'm not surprised by this at all. I'm not surprised. What do you guys think about Velma getting canceled after 2 seasons? Wait, Josh, they ended Velma with her burning in hell? That sounds like a very Velma thing to do. Because why would they do that? Margot says, yes, thank God, no more Velma. Ashley says, I feel like you guys overreacted to Velma. What? You could think what you like, Ashley, but I completely disagree. Du Bois says, I kept saying they weren't going to rage bait their way to success, but this time, here we are. Yeah, I mean, I think even, like, the rage stuff gets tiring after a bit. Ethan, you didn't know it had a 2nd season. Yeah, that's how much, like, it didn't really have, like, any impression on the internet. Critics and fans were united on this one. Like, no one liked this show. Like, except for Ashley, I guess. Fake Mustache says, we didn't need more Velma. I agree. I know, right? Did they really kill Velma with Hellfire? That's crazy. It's so perfect for this show, but that's crazy. Anyway. Speaking of crazy, we're getting another Freaky Friday movie, and we just got this image here showing the difference between 2003 and 2025. I'm very curious to see how well this does. Like, I know this was, like, a big movie of my childhood, but, like, I don't know if this has, like, much appeal outside of, like, if you grew up on this movie. Also, a lot of people were pointing out, like, the color grading difference between the two. Yeah, I don't know why the new one looks so cold and gray. But, like, that's a lot of new movies lately. I've been telling you guys I'm so tired of movies being gray. And, like, I don't know why Freaky Friday has to be gray, but, like, yeah. I do think that the original, like, at least the color grading was a lot more, like, warm toned. Because, yeah, I have to agree. I'm not sure I'm liking the color grading or the lighting in the new one. But anyway, I still think this could be okay. I still think this could do well. Let's see if there's enough nostalgia to really, like, make this successful. Because I'm really not sure. Ethereal Dragon says, animated series get picked up for multiple seasons. They take long to make. That's true. I mean, Velma was picked up for 2 seasons originally. But yeah, I never saw it getting a 3rd. Oh, Margot, you thought this was fake? Why? I know, Vincent. Why aren't movies colorful anymore? This picture just kind of, like, proves everything that we've been talking about. Like, seriously. Why? Why do movies look like the right picture now? Why do they do that? Fake Mustache says you think this could be a hit. Ethan says, I hope it's actually something interesting and not just cheap streaming filler for Disney Plus. Yeah, I mean, I think they originally were going to put this on Disney Plus, but now it's going to theaters. So I'm hoping that it feels like a theatrical movie and not a Disney Plus movie. I agree with that. Okay, Josh, think this will be a hit. I think this could be a hit. I do. I think there's potential for this movie. So we'll see. Speaking of a hit, The Wild Robot's getting a sequel. The Wild Robot is already getting a sequel. So that did not take them long at all to announce this. You know, for whatever reason, what a lot of studios are doing right now, unless it's like Dune, but even then with Dune, like, they're waiting forever to announce if they're going to make another one. It's like they're not sure if they're going to make a sequel, so they wait forever to announce a sequel. I like the fact that they announced the sequel pretty quickly after the first one just released. So I'm happy about that. There wasn't a lot of waiting and guessing and hoping. They were just like, yep, we're doing a sequel. So happy about that. I also do think that there's a lot more with the story that we could, you know, go into just because of how it ended. So I do think there's more story to tell. So that's good. In fact, the original book it's based off of is part of a series. So I'm sure they're just going to adapt the book again. So I'm very happy about this. I think this is exciting. There's audio messed up. Let me see. Is my audio bad? What's going on with the audio? Hello? What? Is it fixed? What are you guys hearing? There's like a pitch? It went away? It's okay now? Okay. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened. No idea what happened there. Sorry if I hurt your ears. I apologize. Maybe I was just too excited. Anyway, very happy about The Wild Robot. Very deserved movie. Maybe the beeping was the robot. Who knows? I didn't hear the beeping, so I can't tell you. But anyway, moving on. So we're also getting another spin-off for The Big Bang Theory. Which, I'm not surprised because the last spin-off, Young Sheldon, did very well. So I'm not surprised they're not going to want to, like, end this franchise anytime soon. So apparently this one is going to focus on the nerds that work at the comic book store. So we're getting Brian Posen, Lauren Lapkus, and Kevin Sussman all coming back. I think that's actually really promising. I really like The Big Bang Theory. I know not everyone likes this show. I know this show has a ton of haters who think that anyone who watches this show is just a Philistine. But I can't help it. It makes me laugh. I like seeing nerdy characters hang out as a nerd. So I like this show, and I might actually watch the spin-off because I actually liked these characters in the show a lot. So I'm interested in this. Although I know a number of you are like, oh, really, Big Bang Theory? Because there's always that one person that just can't stand it. But I like it, so I'm excited for this. Is anyone interested in this? Ashley's a no. Concert Master says, no, so excited for Sheldon's brother and his wife spinoff. Wait, what? There's another spinoff I didn't hear about? See, some of you really want this series to die. Like I said. Also, Young Sheldon's getting a spinoff. Is that what you were talking about, Concert Master? I don't even hear about that one. So yeah, they're not letting the Big Bang cinematic universe, because it's a cinematic universe at this point. They're not letting it die. Yeah, they're never gonna let it die. Is anyone interested in this like me? Okay, Ethan's interested. That's great. Blue Gecko Nerd agrees with me. The Big Bang Theory was never that bad. Okay, Calexis thinks this is interesting. Okay. Du Bois says you never got the intense hate. Yeah, see, I never did either. I always liked it. So I'm glad I have Big Bang Theory fans in my audience. That's great. I might actually watch this because I liked these characters. So, yeah, we'll see. Moving on. There's a new Ghostbusters films in the work. Another one! Another one! Didn't the last one, like, not even do well? I'm pretty sure the last one flopped, right? Or, like, it did, like, the bare minimum. Aren't these movies making, like, less and less each time? Aren't they also doing, like, an animated show? Is anyone still interested in Ghostbusters? Be honest if you are. Like, fess up, it's okay. But, like, I saw the last Ghostbusters movie, and I did not think it was that good. I just don't know where else you go with this story. Like, I feel like they have absolutely exhausted this franchise. Like, it's kind of almost like Jurassic Park in a way, where I'm feeling like there's just no good place to take the story. Like, what more can you do with this, you know? Like, is anyone still excited by another Ghostbusters film? I'm seeing a lot of no's. Fake mustache says you want to leave it in the 80s. Okay. Concert Master says never interested in the franchise and never will. Okay. Yeah, I've seen, like, not one person is like, oh yeah, another Ghostbusters movie. Not one. Yeah, I'm wondering the same thing, Josh. Is this going to be the same team? Or are they getting a whole new cast? Because, like, the previous cast isn't really bringing in the money. So are they kind of, like, doing another reboot, sort of? I don't know. I just feel like this is done. I feel like it's over, you know? I'm not really into this. Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill continues to get work. So, he has been cast in the Voltron live-action film. Now, don't kill me, but I don't know much about Voltron. Is Voltron essentially like another version of Transformers? Just based on this picture, it looks like Transformers to me. So, I'm going to treat this like it's a Transformers movie, because I don't know Voltron that well. But please correct me if it's nothing like Transformers. I do think that's interesting. I do think this sounds like it fits with his brand. I think Henry Cavill has, like, a very interesting brand where he's kind of branded himself as a nerd. Like, he's branded himself as, like, someone who's actually, like, interested in all these IP and, like, cares about the properties and stuff. So I think that's interesting. I wonder if he himself is a Voltron fan. He probably is. You know what I think Henry Cavill needs to do? He needs to go on Twitch and, like, live stream him playing a bunch of video games. I'm not kidding. I really feel like that would... He already has a fan base, but I feel like that would grow his fan base and, like, really make him super popular within, like, a section of dudes who would actually go see his movies. Like, I feel like that would be very on brand for him. And I think he would actually enjoy it, and it would be really good for him. I sincerely think that's what his publicist should tell him to do. Like, I really think he should do that. Am I wrong about Voltron? Oh, Aaron says Voltron is more Power Rangers-esque. Okay. Calexis says it's Power Rangers meets Transformers. Okay, interesting. Interesting. I gotta be honest with you. I have a blind spot when it comes to, like, 90s kids animated shows. I think this is from the 90s, right? I have a huge blind spot with those. That's why I also didn't watch, like, Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles. Like, that whole, like, sphere, I have a very blind eye to. Leo Galaxy, it's interesting how these movie studios are so risk-averse, and yet they're still trying with Ghostbusters, right? At what point is it more risky to keep doubling down on IP when it just keeps failing? Like, at what point do you go, you know what, maybe we're done with Ghostbusters. Maybe making more Ghostbusters is more risky. Because I feel like that's where we should be at this point. Ethereal Dragon. I haven't even said anything about Voltron. I'm reading what you guys are saying about Voltron. I honestly think one of the things that, like, Hollywood is really struggling with right now is the fact that they are just relying too heavily on old IP and not creating anything new. And like when they do create something new, it's like something that's not interesting. So when it flops, they just blame people for not wanting something new when really they just made something that sucked. So yeah, I think this is another one of those, like, maybe the people who were kids when this came out and like they might watch it, but I don't know. I really can't judge how popular this one might be, to be honest. I'm not familiar with the property. I just know that this seems very much like Henry Cavill's wheelhouse, so maybe this could be big for him. Alright, moving on. So, this one made me laugh. This one made me really laugh. So, you guys know Zachary Levi. He's been going through it. Ever since the last Shazam movie flopped, he's been really butthurt. In fact, if you guys have been paying attention to his Twitter page, he's made like a hard shift to the right and is like all MAGA posting now. Like, I think maybe he thinks like his acting career is over, so now he's like another disenfranchised man who's like pissed off at the system. So he's like going all in on Trump. But anyway, he apparently thought his Shazam role would make him the next The Rock or Chris Evans, which obviously that didn't happen. And so he's very bitter about that. That's according to The Hollywood Reporter. And I believe it because it's so obvious. I mean, do you guys remember when Shazam 2 came out and like it was just getting a bunch of bad news because like the box office terrible, the critics didn't like it. So Zachary Levi kept going out and like making all these really cringe videos about like why the movie was flopping. And he kept like blaming The Rock, saying like, oh, Black Adam was supposed to be in my movie, but he backed out. And it's like, I don't think The Rock would have saved your film, dude. And it was just, he was acting so desperate. He was just like, please go see my movie, please. And it was just like, you as an actor should not be like this desperate and begging people to see your film. It gave everyone the ick, or at least it gave me the ick. And like Zachary Levi has just like never recovered since then, like at all. He just continues to like be embarrassing. Again, look at his Twitter page recently. He's really going through something. And I think it's because the whole Shazam thing didn't work out for him the way he thought. So yeah, very interesting indeed. But what do you guys think about Zachary Levi? Do you think I'm being too harsh on him, or do you think this is funny like I do? Yeah, DeBoy, that's a good point. Don't ever follow your favorite person on Twitter, because usually they will disappoint you. Ashley Banks says, because they didn't make Shazam properly, that character isn't a goofy character at all. They basically made him Spider-Man with muscles. I thought he made... I don't know. I don't think his portrayal of the character was that bad, to be honest. I think, in a way, he was accurately cast because he had to play the role of a kid as an adult, which I think suits Zachary Levi, because I do think he's very immature. So he kind of just played the role like a big kid. And I think that's what Zachary Levi does best. So I don't think his portrayal was the problem. I just think the movies were like... Actually, I think the first Shazam was not bad, but the second one I don't think was as good or as well received. And it's just like, he's like a D-tier character in a very crowded superhero landscape. So he was never really gonna like break out much. I know Prototype. I used to like Zachary Levi when he was just mainly known as Eugene from Tangled. It just sucks that now I have to watch Tangled and know it's Zachary Levi talking, you know? Ashley Banks says, but when Shazam comes, he's not childish, he's just naive. Well, the way he plays him is very childish. The Purple Crayon movie also looked terrible. I didn't end up seeing it, but the trailer looked awful. Anyway, I just thought this was funny because like it explains his behavior recently. He must be very bitter, and I guess this is why. But anyway, oh, yes, okay. So they have just cast the new Jon Stewart and DCU's Lanterns. This is going to be a Max series. I think it's very interesting that they are moving so far ahead with these Max shows when we don't even know how well, like, Superman Legacy is going to do yet. Like, what happens if Superman Legacy flops, which is supposed to kickstart this whole new DCU, including these shows? But they've already made the shows. You see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they should be waiting to work on this stuff, because we don't know how well Superman Legacy is going to do. Like, what if it's an absolute disaster? What if people hate it? That just sets the tone for the entire DCU. I don't know. I feel like I think they should have waited to start casting and working on this show. But anyway, they have started casting. So they casted Aaron Pierre. I'm not super familiar with him, but he does look a lot like the character. But I just think it's interesting that they're even, like, casting for this show. Like, I really feel like they should be waiting to cast these shows, because we don't even know if, like, people are going to be interested in the movies. Like, at least when Marvel started making the TV shows, it was after they had already proven that people obviously cared about the movies. We don't even know if they care about the DCU yet they're already, like, making a whole cinematic universe. I just feel like they're rushing into this a bit, like, a little bit. Okay, Spider-Pool, you think Superman's not going to flop. Okay. Ashley says, I believe it when a trailer comes out. We've been waiting almost 10 years for this. I think this might actually get made. Like, that's why I'm, like, surprised that they're working on it, because I actually do think this will get made. Okay, another person actually don't think Superman will flop. We'll see. I'm not as confident about Superman's chances as you guys are. I really do think it still could flop. I mean, if they can't even get Joker right, why do you think, like, people are going to trust them with Superman, you know? I think there's still quite an uphill battle for James Gunn. I'm not saying it's definitely going to flop, but I'm far from saying it's definitely going to be a hit. Especially before we even see a trailer, because it still could go either way for sure. Anyone have any thoughts on this actor specifically? Okay, Content Master, you agree they're rushing into this? Yeah. We don't even know if we like your universe. Why are you already expanding? Okay, Anise, you're very confident. You think Superman will be a hit. Well, I hope you guys are right. Just, for James Gunn's sake, because if it flops, I'm pretty sure that's the end of his job, right? Like, how can he keep his job after that? Now, let's get to Wiccan and talking about Wanda. This will be a bit of a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the latest episode of Agatha, just be warned. But yes, I am continuing to like Agatha. I really like this show. I think this episode was very short. I think the episodes are getting shorter. I don't like that. I like longer episodes, but it is what it is. Disney Plus, they like short episodes. We finally got confirmation that Teen is Wiccan, which I think we already knew. It was just, I guess, they officially announced it. I think how they announced it was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. I think the Billie Eilish needle drop was a little cheesy. I really like that song, but I need Hollywood to stop using that song, because they do not know how to use it well, and it just sounds so cheesy when they do use it, and it's not a cheesy song. Like, they're rude. I want Billie Eilish to say no and be like, no, Hollywood, you guys cannot use this song anymore, because it's like Hollywood is dead set on ruining that song for people. That said, I do think it's a good episode. I want to know what happens, because the ending is a bit like, what the fuck? I don't know what's happening to Agatha. Did they really kill off that woman? Like, lots of stuff is happening. I don't know what's going to happen next, which I do enjoy about the show. It's not predictable at all, other than, obviously, knew about Wiccan. But I'm still enjoying it. I love that they're keeping Agatha a villain. They're not, like, softening her at all. Like, she's still very much a bad guy, which I love. So yeah, things are going well. I'm still liking the show. But what do you guys think? Okay, Josh thinks Joe was incredible as Wiccan. I'm excited to see more from him. That's true. Natanya, the song is not trash. The song is not trash. It's the placement. The placement of the song was trash. Ashley says, yeah, I was mad at the Misplaced Billy song too. Yeah, I'm glad you guys agree. Oh, they used the song on Only Murders too? Like I said, they keep using that song as a needle drop, and it's like, can you not, please? Yeah, I agree, Andy. Episode 5 was really short. I want these episodes to be longer like the first episode was. I was a little disappointed by the length. But overall, what we got in the episode was good. It was just very short. And I didn't like the needle drop, but that's how I felt about it. Still enjoying the show, though. Still looking forward to next week, so we'll see. Moving on. So, Venom's going on Hot Ones. I guess Hot Ones is really enjoying the success that they got with the Donald Duck show. If you guys remember that, when they had Donald Duck on, it did very well. So I guess they're going to work with more fictional characters now. I think this could be interesting. I'm very curious to see what they do with Venom. And, like, when the Venom tries to eat the bomb, like, that's probably it. I don't know. It could be funny. It could be funny. I think this is, like, very clever marketing that Hollywood needs to do more of. Because, you know, not everyone's watching TV, so if you just run trailers on TV, like, not everyone's gonna see that. So I think putting your characters on popular YouTube shows, I think, is a very smart move. So what do you guys think about this? Would you actually watch this Hot Ones episode? Do you care about Venom like that to watch this? Or do you think Hot Ones is actually the one that's, like, jumping the shark, and you think this is really corny and bad? What do you think? Ethan says Venom 3 has the strangest marketing campaign. What else is strange about it? What am I missing? Hi, Madonna. Okay, fake mustache is looking forward to it. Interesting. It does look ridiculous, but I think the Donald Duck one was super successful, so who knows? People are actually going to watch this. I'm curious to see how many. Or if this actually helps the movie at all. I just think it's interesting creative marketing, and that's why I brought it up. Last thing, though, before we're done today. So, The Nightmare Before Christmas is returning to theaters for the Halloween season. If you guys want to see The Nightmare Before Christmas in theaters, now's your time because it's coming back. So I just thought I would let you guys know in case you wanted to celebrate Halloween in a very festive way. I think this is probably still, like, one of the most well-known Halloween movies. There's actually not a lot. Like, when you think compared to Christmas movies, there's actually not a lot of Halloween movies comparatively, which is kind of crazy, because it's so easy to make a movie based around Halloween. But, like, I get why it's still very popular. The movie's, like, 31 years old, and people are still loving it. I hope that Disney eventually makes a sequel. But I don't want the sequel to be live action or anything like that. I want a sequel in stop-motion animation. I think that would be really cool, but I don't think Disney would do it. But that, if they ever did anything with this property, and I bet they're trying to, like, figure out what they could do, that's what I would want them to do. I'd want a sequel in stop-motion animation. That's what I'd want. But anyone expecting or hoping to go see this movie in theaters, what are you thinking? Oh yes, Coraline is also returning to theaters again. Thank you, Josh. So you can see Coraline or this. I hope they re-release Corpse Bride too, Ethan. I'm surprised they're not releasing Corpse Bride. Okay, Anise, you think it's more of a Christmas movie? I kind of have to agree. The first time I watched this movie, which was only like, maybe like 5 years ago. Not that long ago, to be honest. I didn't grow up on this film. But the first time I watched this movie, it did strike me as, like, I was surprised by how Christmassy it was. Like, the first act of the movie is, like, solidly Halloween. But I would say, like, 2/3 of this movie is more Christmas. So, yeah, I kind of feel like this is more of a Christmas movie, but, you know, it's both. Okay, Ashley might see it in theaters. Okay, some of you might see it, so. Now you know. There you go. Alright. And that is it for today. Thank you so much for being on the show or coming to the show and talking with me. We had a lot of fun. There was a lot of good things to go over. I would like to have another show this week, but because of my new job, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do this on Thursday. Would you guys actually be willing to watch this show on Friday or Saturday? Because if not, the next show is probably going to be next Sunday. Very curious. Would you guys watch this show on a Friday? Be honest. I want to see in the chat. Last thing I'm asking, and then I'm out for the day. You guys are all saying bye. Usually I would say bye by now. Natanya says yes. I love how you're always here. Thank you, Natanya. Okay. Seeing some yeses. Fridays are perfect. Yes, Friday. Okay. So I'm seeing lots of yeses. This is great. Because I'm thinking next show will probably have to be on Friday. But, of course, I will update you guys the timing on the community page and on my Twitter, so make sure you look out for that. Since you guys are saying yes, that might be the next day. So we'll see you later this week. Thank you for being on the show, and I'll see you then. All right, bye.